Have you ever wondered why do sports sometimes lead to fights, hatred and even political tensions when they are supposed to bring people together? George Orwell, one of the sharpest minds of the 20th century, raised this exact question in his essay Sporting Spirit, written in 1945. In this essay, Orwell doesn't praise sports as we usually do. Instead, he takes a bold and critical look at how international sports, especially competitive ones like football, boxing, and cricket, often turn into a form of war minus the shooting. Sporting Spirit was written soon after the Second World War when nations were trying to rebuild peace. During that time, many people believed that international sporting events could promote goodwill among countries, that they could heal wounds, bring unity, and create friendship across borders. But Orwell didn't agree. He argued that sports, instead of creating peace, often deepen national rivalries. He says whenever one country plays against another, it's not just a game, it becomes a battlefield of pride, ego, and nationalism. Orwell famously calls serious sport war minus the shooting. What he means is the spirit of war, competition, aggression, and the victory still lives on, even when guns are replaced by footballs or cricket bats. He observes that in such matches, people don't just cheer for skill or talent, they cheer for their country's victory, and they often end up hating the other side. He points out that even though we say, may the best team win, deep down what most people want is, may our team win. And if our team loses, it feels like a personal or national insult. In this way, Orwell suggests that sports encourage group hatred, not just healthy competition. This is one of his most striking and controversial ideas. Orwell refers to matches between England and other countries, especially in games like football or cricket. He says when British teams play against teams from countries like the Soviet Union or Germany, the audience doesn't just see a game, they see a political struggle. Every foul or mistake becomes a reason to insult the other side. Spectators shout, fight, and behave aggressively. Sometimes newspapers and radio shows even add fuel to the fire. They use patriotic language, making it sound like a national victory or defeat. He also mentions the Moscow Dynamo football team's tour of Britain in 1945. At first, people thought it would promote friendship between Russia and Britain after the war. But the result was the opposite. Both sides accused each other of cheating and unfair play. Instead of peace, it created more bitterness. Physical sports versus intellectual games. Orwell also compares violent physical sports like football, boxing, and hockey with intellectual games such as chess or bridge. He observes that while chess is also competitive, it rarely leads to fights or national hatred. Physical sports, on the other hand, involve direct body contact and physical aggression. And that's why they awaken stronger emotions and hostility. He argues that it's this physical emotional nature of sport that makes it more likely to stir up anger and national pride than to build friendship. Orwell's insight the psychology behind it. Orwell, being a political thinker and social critic, goes deeply than just describing the events. He tries to explain why this happens. He says that when large groups of people compete, especially in the name of nations, it awakens deep emotions of tribal loyalty, a feeling that we must defeat them. This emotion can easily turn into hatred. It's the same mindset that causes wars, just expressed on a football field. In other words, Orwell argues that the human instinct for dominance and victory doesn't disappear in sports, it only changes its form. Can sport ever be peaceful? Now, Orwell isn't saying that all forms of sports are bad. He actually admits that playing for fun or health, like children playing in the park or friends playing casually, can be good for both body and mind. But what he criticizes is serious, organized, and competitive sport, especially when it comes to football and other physical sport, when it becomes tied to nationalism, money, and prestige. In those cases, he says, sport no longer remains a game. It becomes a form of power politics. He even writes that sport can make people behave like lunatics, shouting, insults, and losing self control. Instead of teaching fair play, it often teaches hostility and dishonesty. Now, let's think about Orwell's argument in today's context. Even after so many decades, his words still feel relevant. We still see violent clashes between football fans, heated online arguments during cricket World Cups, and political leaders using sports to display national pride. Social media makes it even worse. People troll, insult, and fight online over a game. So, Orwell's warning that sports can become an extension of political and national aggression still holds true till today. At the same time, some may argue that sports can also unite people, that Olympic Games or World Cups bring the world together at least for a short while. So perhaps Orwell's essay invites us to think, what kind of spirit do we bring to sports? Is it cooperation or domination? If we look deeper, Orwell's essay is not just about sports, it's actually about human nature. He is reminding us that whatever there is intense competition, or wherever there is intense competition, whether in sports, politics, or business, there's always a risk of hatred, pride, and conflict. He asks us to look within ourselves and question, why do we need to see someone else lose in order to feel what we have won? So the message is not to stop playing or watching sports, but to play with the right spirit, to enjoy game without turning it into a battlefield. Let me conclude, children. To conclude, George Orwell's Sporting Spirit is a thought-provoking essay that challenges our usual way of seeing sports. He exposes how international sports can sometimes become instruments of nationalism, hatred, and rivalry, and how the aggressive spirit of war can survive even in peaceful activities. At the same time, his essay also serves as a warning that true sportsmanship means humility, respect, and friendship, not hatred and pride. So, next time we watch a match or cheer for a team, maybe we can remember Orwell's words and ask ourselves, are we watching for the joy of the game or are we secretly cheering for war minus the shooting? If you have understood the explanation, do not forget to like, subscribe and share it with your friends and comment below what are your thoughts on this essay.